Bulldog fans, excited to introduce you to our new friends at Vincero. Very excited about this, too. I mean, this is a company that does a great job pumping out the Vincero Collective. Very, very excited about this. You should be, too. If you don't know who Vincero is just yet, they're a premium lifestyle brand out of San Diego, right here in the United States of America, carrying watches, sunglasses, and much, much more. Perfect for men and women of any style, any age. Creating exceptionally crafted and ethically made products. That's important in today's time, too. Modern pieces that elevate your look and stand the test of time. And how many times do you go out and you buy something and it's like, I really like these, and the next thing you know, you buy these glasses, and the next thing you know, they're getting kind of wobbly and everything else, and you feel like that you've got some old sunglasses and they're just not lasting. That's not the case with Vincero. They're adamant about the process. Design everything in-house. They source their own materials. They produce in small batches and ship right to your home. They do with the planet in mind. Vincero has been carbon neutral since 2019, investing in renewable energy and forestry. Modern ethical branding with the goal of providing premium lifestyle accessories for the stylish me and you. How about that? Stainless steel, durable silicone, and Italian marble straps. Surgical grade stainless steel casing with Italian marble inlay. It's incredible. Go check them out yourself today. Vincero is offering a special 15% off for Boneyard listeners and free shipping to all of our listeners by using the promo code Boneyard. That's VinceroCollective.com. That's VINCERO Collective.com. It's Vincero. That's how you pronounce it, Vincero. But it's spelled VINCERO Collective.com/Boneyard. Very, very easy to find. And again, you get that 15% off and free shipping just by being a Boneyard listener. Be sure and check them out today. Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson, here on the Maroon Friday edition of the Yard. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope it's a payday for you. Maybe it is for you weekly and bi-weekly wage earners. Maybe it's time to get some green, man. Hope we can get out and go have some fun. Tonight, as a matter of fact, if you're in town, and maybe you don't feel like going over to Oxford, which I don't, you can come hang with me. I'm going to be at Hobie's on Main tonight. We're going to have a watch party / book signing down there. You don't feel obligated to come get a book. I mean, I'd love for you to get a book. But if you don't want to, if you just want to come hang and watch a game with some Bulldogs, come on. We're not going to just sit here and be shoving it in your face. But there'll be books available for purchase at the event. So if you want Flim Flam, Stark Villains, Alpha Dogs, or Dog Pile, you can pick that up while you watch the Bulldogs beat the Ole Miss Rebels tonight. We're going to talk a little more about that series here in how things go here in the next, couple segments of this show. But the reality of it is, if you're in town, come by, hang out at Hobie's. We'll have a good time, have the game up on the TVs, and you'll be around family. So come by and check it out. If you can't make it to town, you can always visit dogpilethebook.com, and you can get copies of those books. And Bloomsville Leander, of course, available through Amazon and BooksAMillion.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Be sure and check those things out. Also, too, I'm reminded, somebody messaged me yesterday. It is available, too, on your reading device, like your tablet, like Kindle and all that kind of stuff, the Barnes & Noble mobile app or whatever. You can get it there, too. It's the only one of my books that's available as an ebook. It's Blooms of Oleander. So be sure and check that out if you haven't already. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company. We love them. They love us. They love providing good food. We love consuming good food. Not just good food, but great food. It's a great experience every time I go to Bulldog Burger Company. I'm sure it is for you, too. 3 great locations to serve you. University Drive here in Star Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, and, of course, the brand new one, Lake Harbor Drive there in the Ridgeland-Flowood area. Be sure and go check them out and have the spring rolls as your appetizer. I'm a big advocate for the spring rolls. I think it's the best appetizer in Starkville proper. I mean that. And I think I've had them all. I love going in there to eat. I love that whole family of restaurants, man. It's like there's always something that I know that I'm going to enjoy. These people know how to feed folks. Trust them with your dining experience. You'll come away impressed. Great food at a great price, and those quantities at Bulldog Burger Company, that's the thing, too, those portions. A lot of people have cut back. They're charging you the same price, giving you less food, and in some cases, less quality. Not at Bulldog Burger Company. The same great quality you've grown to know and love. Very consistent. Be sure and go check them out. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. MEAT. All right, let's get into last night's ball game. It basically boiled down to one big mistake, didn't it? Man, it's funny how that is. You got two teams who were kind of similarly situated, not just in records, but in standings, really everything. Failed expectations. That's one thing, too, that I have learned in life is the weight of great expectations is difficult to carry for people that are just good. It's difficult for good people to be great, good players to be great, good coaches to be great. Sometimes you have flashes of moments of greatness, but it's difficult to sustain that. And eventually it weighs you down. But I think both teams are kind of struggling with that. The weight of great expectations. And we didn't expect to win this series, and I felt like that Thursday. I get so confused with these Thursday, Friday, Saturday deals. That I felt like that their best chance to win was with Dylan DeLucia on the mound, and he was outstanding. Give the guy some credit, man. The guy really pitched well. Thought they had a really good game plan to attack us. They went the first time through the order. They started us soft more times than not. Not a lot of first pitch fastballs, and the most important pitch in all of baseball at every level is strike one. The absolute most important pitch. And so when you've got a guy like that, all of a sudden he's throwing, dropping Uncle Charlie on you or putting that slider. It was mainly a changeup, slider, fastball mix. There were a couple times he threw some breaking stuff. I don't know if he changed the grip a little bit on the slider, but there were a couple times that thing had a little more bend to it rather than the sweeping action. So you tip your cap. The guy was outstanding. But both teams have 5 hits and 2 home runs. The difference is one of their home runs proved to be a 3-run shot in the first inning that ultimately proved to be the margin of the ballgame. It's interesting. There's so many people out there that have kind of kept up with this. And, again, we didn't expect to win the series, but it would have been great to get that first one because I really feel like that was a big momentum builder for Ole Miss. You saw how they responded after the ball game. To be honest with you, it was a little bit embarrassing. But I understand that it is a very, 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 very big deal for Ole Miss to beat Mississippi State in anything. I mean, it's like you go to bed at night and you say your prayers, please, dear God, please let us beat Mississippi State in something. I understand. So let's break down the game here. So we get going, and R.J. Yeager is leading off here. And R.J. did not have a great night. He puts the ball in play here, though, with a ground out to short. Cam Jameson flies out to right field. Hancock flies out to center field. A 7-pitch inning for DeLucia there. That's a great start. I mean, it really is. I like it when we're able to go out there and at least get some traffic on the bases earlier. But that's a great start, and it gives that kid some confidence. Bottom of first, we have a chance. We have a chance here to get out of this thing unscathed, but we don't. We give up a single through the left side. Pretty well-hit ball there from Justin Bench. No relation to Johnny Bench. Gonzalez flies out to center field. We get Elko's for strikeout swinging. I thought our game plan and our approach against Tim Elko was outstanding. We really had him out in front on his front foot. I don't know that he saw maybe 1 or 2 fastballs the entire night. But at the end of the day, they didn't need him to win the ball game. Wild pitch sends Bench to second. So now you got a runner in scoring position with 2 outs here. And you figure a base hit gives you a chance. Then there is a ground ball back towards the middle. We've shifted over, kind of a hop there that kind of handcuffs Yeager, and there's an error. Now all of a sudden you got runners at the corner, but more importantly, you have extended the inning. You get a ground ball right to you, and it's not an easy play. I know it's easy for us to say that. Wasn't an easy play. We don't make it. Allows Kevin Graham to come to the plate with 2 men on and Brandon Smith in the stretch. We ended up elevating a pitch. It is a 3-run shot to right field. And at that point, you kind of like, whoa, this is not good. We get McCants to strike out swinging. But again, this is what happens. When you don't play clean and you give people other opportunities, you extend innings for them, this is what happens. We have played pretty good defense this year, but it does seem like when we do make an error, it does seem like it comes back to bite us more times than not. Top of second, State has a chance to kind of get back in here. We get a single that was originally scored in error, which was stupid. It's just absolutely stupid to charge an error there. I mean, it's like you're just trying to protect somebody's fielding percentage or earned run average, whatever. It's just dumb. But he is later changed to a single. Logan Tanner just kind of taps it over the mound. The pitcher has to kind of elevate there, and it goes off his glove. It's not a routine play. You can't charge an error there. They don't. They do correct it. It's the right call. Then Hunter Hines strikes out looking, Cumbas strikes out looking, and Clark strikes out looking. That cannot happen. 3 strikeouts in the inning. Somebody's got to put a ball in play here. Now, eventually, the second time through the order, we do start putting some balls in play. But to me, it just seems like the game plan to attack Mississippi State from a pitching standpoint on the Ole Miss side was ahead of where we were with our game plan as hitters to attack Ole Miss. I don't know if they changed up their tendencies. I don't know if DeLucia just decided, hey, I'm going to pitch these guys backwards. But in the early going of this ball game, it appeared to me that they were ready to play maybe a little more preparedly than we were. And that's not being critical of anybody. Sometimes it happens. Bottom of second, Leatherwood strikes out swinging. Chotinier flies out to center field. Dunhurst walks. Thought he had a pretty good ball game last night, too, even though he's been injured. And then Bench strikes out swinging. Again, no relation to Johnny Bench. Top of third, it's a 1-2-3 inning for State. We go through the order here, and the only hit we have is a little bouncing ball that just kind of sneaks over the pitcher's head here. We're not making good contact. Ground out to short, Forsythe strikes out looking, and Yeager flies out to right field. So a lot of soft contact the first time through the Bulldog order there. And again, all we have to show for it is an infield hit that just kind of found no man's land out there. Brandon Smith had settled down at this point. Bottom of third, he gets a 1-2-3 inning. Gonzalez grounds out to second. Elko strikes out swinging on 3 pitches. And then Alderman grounds out to third base. I thought the Alderman kid had some really good at-bats. I know he didn't have a whole lot to show for it, but I thought he really grinds you out. I mean, it's the first time I've had a chance to really watch him, more than saying a bat or two. I was impressed with him. He's hitting cleanup for a reason. It's a guy in there to protect Tim Elko. But I was impressed with his approach at the plate. He looks athletic in the box, too. Short to the ball, really athletic swing there. Quick twitch, shall we say. All right, top of 4 again, State 1-2-3 here. Cam James grounds out to the pitcher. Hancock grounds out to short. Tanner flies out to center field. These 3 guys have to carry us. There's some other supporting guys on this lineup here that can make contributions. R.J. Yeager, of course, Callum Clark, Brad Cumbus. But, in order for us to win the games we need to win, we need this 3, this trinity of players, this nucleus. We need these guys to get going. Now, they've been up and down at times, but if we can get everybody going at the same time, we're going to be difficult to beat. And in games like this, in a hostile environment, especially an important series where we're playing a team that is basically at the same level we are in the standings, where there's so much on the line for both, we need these guys to lead. Bottom of 4, again, Brandon Smith, outside of hanging that breaking ball there in the first inning, is cruising. 1-2-3 inning again. You get Graham to ground out to first. McCann strikes out swinging. Leatherwood strikes out swinging. And those are efficient strikeouts, too. The last 2, all 3 of them on 3 pitches. When you've got that changeup and that slider working the way Brandon Smith did, and he has real sink on the fastball, it's difficult to lay off of it. It really is. Top of 5, State finally gets going here. Hunter Hines grounds out to second, and then Cumbus homers to left field. Didn't get it all, but I like Brad being a little more aggressive here. It's a foul, 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 and then he kind of just lofts one over the fence and left, and didn't get it all. But he's strong enough to muscle that thing out. Then Kellen Clark comes up and then, rips a single to center field. So now you're thinking, all right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We're being a little more aggressive the second time through the count, through the order. We're swinging the bat a little more aggressively. And then we strike out swinging. Alford and Forsythe back-to-back strikeout swingings. And not necessarily terrible at bats, but, we got to put a ball in play here. We got to at least get a productive out here, and we don't. But it's now a 3-1 ball game. We're thinking, okay, all right, listen, plenty of ball game left, right? Well, Brandon Smith again gets a strikeout swinging of Chotinier, then Dunhurst homers to right field, and just again we leave a ball up there. Now they get the run back. It's a 4-1 ball game. Bench flies out to right. Gonzalez walks. Elko singles up the middle, and just really kind of cued a ball against the shift there. Kind of mishit it. I mean, like I read that people were like, oh well, he worked against the shift. It was just kind of like more like a situation of circumstance. He didn't get a good swing on it. He just happened to be a big, strong guy. Had just enough to kind of muscle it through there, kind of a cue shot. But State gets out of it. You get Alderman to pop up to second base. And, you pitch around a little 2-out trouble there. Our top of 6, again, State a chance here to kind of get some things going. Yeager flies out to left field the very first pitch. James in singles to left. Hancock flies out to center. And then Logan Tanner reaches on a fielder's choice, and they force Luke Hancock at second. So Cam comes through here with a hit here. We're starting to put the ball in play a little bit, but, we're starting to start thinking, not those guys aren't going to hit, but maybe one more time in the ball game. Top of 6, Brandon Smith kind of pitching on fumes here. Does a good job, though. Fly out at center field. McCants strikes out looking. Tough night for McCants. Leatherwood out at first to pitcher. So nice job of Brandon Smith getting over there. So Brandon gives you 6 big innings, but 4 runs on a Friday night in the SEC sometimes is more than enough to win, as it proved to be for Ole Miss. But, again, I think Brandon Smith going on Fridays is good for us. He's going to give you a quality start. It's back-to-back weeks he has. He just hadn't had any run support. Top of 7, Hunter Hines strikes out swinging. Compass flies out to left, and then we get an absolute tank job from Kellen Clark on a 2-0 count. Absolutely rips this ball. Now all of a sudden it's a 4-2 game. You start thinking, all right, eventually we're going to get DeLucia out of the ball game, get into that bullpen. We just need to get a runner on, bring a tying run to the plate. Alford then grounds out to third. Not a good night at the plate for Alford. Bottom of 7, we bring in Drew Talley. We have a little drama here, but we mixed and matched with the bullpen, and the bullpen actually did a good job here. Talley comes in, we get a fly out to left, then Dunhurst doubles to right center. We walk Justin Bench, no relation to Johnny. We pull him, bring in Cam Tuller for the lefty-lefty matchup. He gets the K of Gonzalez. We bring in Fristow to pitch to Tim Elko. He wins the at-bat, gets a routine fly ball right there. So, again, the decisions we make here, Talley is kind of up and down, guys. You know this. There's some guys, one game he's good, the next game he's not. This is a guy who's a former Memphis pitcher. He's going to have to be big for us down the stretch. Sometimes he gets a little bit center cut with the fastball and has to pay for it. And then you give up that big double. The next thing you know, you're kind of locked into an at-bat. You can't finish. And give Justin Bench some credit for grinding out the at-bat. But Lamonis and Foxhall pull the strings here. We go lefty-lefty, righty-righty. We win both of those matchups to kind of keep the game right where it is. We bring in Von Siebert to pinch hit for Forsythe late in the game, which enables us to put Leggett in at short. And I've read people that are being kind of critical of this, and I don't fully understand that. It's like, we've got to get a guy on base. We've got to find a way to get a guy out there to bring the tying run to the plate. So you set up a righty-lefty matchup here. And it's like sometimes I think, and I love you all to death, but some of you make my head hurt. I'm just being honest with you. And I know a lot of people don't know baseball. They love baseball, but they don't really know baseball. And people are like, oh, well, Siebert's not hitting. Going into his at-bat last night, he's hitting 270. Earlier this month, he's over 300. He had the big hit against Auburn. We're trying to mount the comeback down there. And, he pinch hits and pulls it through. And that's the first hit he's had in a while, but he has primarily been a pinch hitter for us. He just had one start here in the last few ball games. Excuse me, that's not even right. He came in as a reserve in that ball game too. But, my point being here is that you're trying to set up a matchup that is advantageous to the hitter. You've got a tiring pitcher out there, and you can put him in a situation where he's got to come into a left-hander. And Kellen Clark had hit some balls really hard there. Not that we need Vaughn to go hit a tank for us. We're just trying to put a ball in play here and perhaps get a runner on base because, all of a sudden, if Siebert gets on base, well, then you've got the top of the order coming up in the form of R.J. Yeager and Cam James. You start thinking, okay, you find a way to get a guy on. So in this situation in the 8th inning, who gives us the best chance to get on base here? Is it going to be Len Forsythe? And sometimes it is. But this is situational hitting. Now, Vaughn doesn't come through here, but it was absolutely the right decision. There's no question about it. You just need a guy that can get on base. And, of course, you know what happens here. Then you'd pinch run for him, right? Because, if he gets on base, then Legg would pinch run for him and then take Forsythe's spot at short. That's what would happen. He just didn't come through. We strike out looking pretty good at bat there, but too close to take. That's one thing, if I can be critical of Von Siebert. We got to protect. We got to battle a little bit more. And there's a few guys in our lineup that are kind of like that. Like Luke Hancock and to a certain extent Logan Tanner, RJ. Those guys will spoil pitches. But it's like there's some guys on our team, it's like if we don't get exactly what we want, we're so locked into that, we don't have the ability to spoil a pitch. That's a skill that Von Siebert will develop over the course of the next couple of years. This is a young guy. But to put him in the ball game here, absolutely the right decision. Didn't work out, but there's no way you don't make this decision in the 8th inning. And then Yeager grounds out to short and James grounds out to short. Very, very quick inning here. Siebert actually had the best at bat of the of the half inning for State. But again, nothing to show for it. Now we're down to 3 outs. Bottom of 8. Of course, Tanner Leggett does come in to play short. And then Alderman grounds out to third. Graham flies out to left. And it's like, okay, we're in a pretty good situation here. We walk McCants, a guy that really struggled. And then he's still second. And we get Leatherwood to strike out swinging. So really nothing going. We pitch around the walk there. But that's kind of a self-inflicted deal there. But, again, good inning for Fristow. It's like you got the third out. You got Elko. And then a good inning here. And listen, we know Fristow has been up and down a little bit. He needs an opportunity like this and to perform at a level. And to be honest with you, I think Jackson Fristow can be fine. I think every bit of this is right between his ears. And I'm not in any way being critical of him. It's just about developing some toughness. It's one thing to pitch in a ball game when you're down 2 runs in the 8th, and another thing to pitch when you're up 2 runs in the 8th. There's some people that get elevated emotionally when the game is on the line or they're trying to preserve a lead. It's a lot easier to kind of hold the game in place because, it's not as high stress an inning. But it's still big innings on the road in the SEC, and that's going to be big for Fristow. All right, so we come up in the 9th, needing to get a runner on here to give us ourselves a chance to tie. We got some familiar names up here. Luke Hancock grounds out to short. Tanner flies out on the first pitch to center field, and then Hines lines out to the second baseman in the ball game. 2-0 count there. He hits it on the screws. We got nothing to show for it. You begin to think there, too, Hines lines that ball in the right field. Then all of a sudden you got Cumbus and Clark behind him. But it doesn't happen. But you give DeLucia credit, man. The guy made the pitches. He goes the complete game, and I think that's really the probably as big a concern as we'd expected to lose one game on the weekend. You'd like to have won them all. But the fact that not only did they win a game, they didn't have to use any bullpen arms. They got a guy up and kind of warmed him a little bit, but not much. And, of course, Scott Klein's behind the plate. And I think Joe Deere sent me that we're 1-3 with Scott Klein behind the plate. And it's like, here's the thing, too. I don't think he's got some agenda against Mississippi State. I just think Scott Klein is terrible. And I didn't think he was great for DeLucia at times either. There were other times that there was some – I really thought for some reason Klein's zone to left-handers – was just kind of a moving target. Sometimes he gives you a ball in, the next time he gives you a ball and a half out. That's the thing that worries me the most. It's just, give me some consistency. It's terrible. But, of course, 4 home runs in the game, 2 for each team, and the difference between those 2 home runs is the fact that we made a mistake defensively. And that's kind of what happens. When you have 2 teams that are kind of on equal footing, the team that makes the big mistake generally loses. That was Mississippi State. We make the error. Again, it wasn't a routine play. It's a tough play in many respects. You got that top spin chopper coming right at you. You filled it clean. You're out of the inning. You don't. Next thing you know, it's a 3-run tank. It ended up being a difference in the game. That's how close this thing is. It really is. And again, I thought both pitchers pitched well enough to win. And you look at it and say, you know what, Brandon left a couple up, so did DeLucia. But both of those guys, I thought did a really good job kind of pounding the zone. Let's look at the box scores here. We'll start with pitching. Brandon Smith takes the L. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 runs, 1 of them earned, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. And Brandon's not a guy that walks guys very often. I think 2 walks is the most in a game all year for him. He gives you 107 pitches. But here's the thing, Brandon Smith gives you a chance to win. There's not a throwaway game on the weekend. Brandon's going to go out there and compete. And we didn't get the win here, but it wasn't like Brandon didn't keep us in the ball game. We got to score. And then, of course, Drew Talley, gets his guy. Drew Talley goes in 1/3 of an inning, gives up a hit and a walk. So he gives up some runners, and then we piece it together. Cam gets his guy, Gonzalez, on 5 pitches. And then Fristow goes an inning and a third, no hits, no runs, the 1 walk and a K. And I don't think any of these guys are burned. Talley 10 pitches, Cam just 5, and then Jackson Fristow 19. So all those guys can come back later in the weekend. And Dylan DeLucia, 9 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts, 117 pitches, a lot of ground outs. Basically, anything hit to the left side was an out because Gonzalez was so good, so rangy over there. And he made it all look so routine. But a lot of that, too, is being a good pitcher, man, is you get good soft contact. You have guys swinging over the top. You're getting under barrels, having them beat the baseball on the ground. And so, much as I hate to say it, Dylan DeLucia's the guy, man. He beat us, and he's been really good the last couple of weeks. It's a different day and time the rest of the weekend, and we have to make that mean something. We've got our 2 best, our most accomplished starters going Friday, Saturday. We got to win this thing tonight. And I've said all week long, Ole Miss struggles in game threes. And so, I feel pretty good with Cade going out there. Tonight's it. We got to win this ball game tonight. It's as simple as that. We have to win this ball game tonight. And honestly, and I hate to overhype it, but this could be the season right here. You drop this series to Ole Miss, you fall farther in the RPI, and you've basically given yourself, you still have a mathematical possibility, but you don't have a realistic chance at that point, I think, of making a regional, unless you go up there and just get hot in the tournament. And so it's like, I think here's the thing, too. We have to be honest with ourselves about this. We're not as good as we expected to be. And it's confusing. It's frustrating. And I hate feeling this way. I love being able to go to the ballpark thinking, we've got a chance to beat anybody we want to. But it's like every time we fall behind in a ball game, it's like, here we go again. That's how it feels. And sometimes we're able to mount a comeback against the bullpen. But we got to find a way. We've got to have better game plans to go up there and attack starting pitching. That was the thing last year. And granted, you got TA and Rowdy. It's probably the best 1-2 combo in the country. We'd go out there and ambush people with line drives back up the middle early in ball games and get to their confidence and get on the scoreboard. Next thing you know, they're chasing the game. To me, it feels like Mississippi State is chasing the game every single game. Even when we get 1-2 run lead, it always feels like it still feels so tenuous. I didn't expect to feel this way, especially this late in the year. And I guess maybe that opening weekend against Long Beach State kind of should have been a harbinger for things to come. And you keep thinking, man, I know these guys. I know what they're capable of. I know their talent level. They're going to get it going. Well, that's got to start today. You can say, well, Steve, we beat Auburn last weekend. Yes, we did, but we're still digging ourselves out of a hole with some inconsistent play early in the year. But I hate feeling this way. I absolutely hate feeling this way. And here's the thing. People are like, oh, we lost to Ole Miss. Guys, that's the smallest part of the equation. We're trying to get back to the NCAA tournament. It wouldn't matter if we're playing Ole Miss or LSU or Alabama or Auburn. This is an important series, not just for bragging rights, but because of the fact in many respects our season depends on this. It just so happens to be Ole Miss. So that makes it maybe burn a little bit more, but just losing to Ole Miss. We lost to Ole Miss a game last year and ended up winning an national championship. So it's not the opponent. It's the fact that we've taken a loss we can't afford to take. That's the deal. And I know that doesn't play well in the Facebook groups. It's like, Ole Miss beat us. Guys, that's baseball. We're going to play a lot of games, and we're going to win some games. We're going to lose some games. We got to win more games. Beating Ole Miss is the bonus. This is not a matter of rivalry. This is a matter of mathematics. We are running out of SEC opportunities. We've got to get no less than 14 wins in the SEC to have a reasonable chance to get into a regional. And we had an opportunity last night, and we blew it. So we have got to go get these next two. We've got to win tonight. We've got to win tomorrow. It's as simple as that. Now, all of a sudden, that makes you, 8-10 in the league, and you still got to go find 6 somewhere else. You got 4 series left to do it. Chances of you sweeping somebody are probably pretty slim. And Missouri gave LSU all they wanted last night. They're going to be tough in their ballpark. We can't say we got time. We don't have any more time. Now is the time. We got to go win this ball game tonight, come back on Saturday and win the series. And even that doesn't accomplish anything other than keeping you in the game. It keeps you in the conversation. We got to go take care of business. All right, again, 5 hits last night. Your hitters last night, Cam James had a single. Logan Tanner had a single. Brad Cumbus had a home run. Kellum Clark, 2 for 3, had the home run, of course, and then that nice single. In fact, Kellum Clark is your PrimeShrimp.com player of the game. If you're unfamiliar with Prime Shrimp, let me encourage you, familiarize yourself. Go to PrimeShrimp.com. They got 4 great flavors to choose from. I encourage you to try them all. I love shrimp. I lived a long time in South Louisiana. I got accustomed to having high-quality shrimp. I moved to North Mississippi. The quality is just not the same here. And that's nothing against anybody else, but the reality of it is you live down there closer to the bayou and to the ocean, the shrimp's a lot fresher. It's a lot more plentiful. You got a lot more choices. So I go with a New Orleans-based shrimp company, PrimeShrimp.com. They've been peeling shrimp in New Orleans since the 1940s, new products all the time. And it's very, very easy, too. The thing I love about shrimp is the taste. The thing I hate about shrimp is all the prep and the cleanup and everything. What if we could eliminate all the drama with shrimp and you just had the joy of shrimp, right? Right? That's what PrimeShrimp.com does for you. You get that handy little pouch. Shrimp's already been detailed and peeled and deveined. All you do is boil a pot of water, drop them in 10 minutes later. Boom, boom, boom. Man, it's great. You can serve it on a salad. serve it over a bed of fettuccine noodles, or you could just eat it right out of the pot. I don't care how you eat it. You'll just be glad you did. Go to primeshrimp.com, use promo code Boneyard to save a few bucks on your order. And if you don't love it, you'll get your money back. It is a risk-free purchase. So Kelm Clark, our Prime Shrimp player of the game. All right, so we're getting ready to go today, and Presto's going for us. And, we've got to go out there and get a quality start for him. And he has been outstanding here the last 3 weeks. A little bit up and down against Arkansas. But Preston, I think, the last 2 weeks has put together his two best appearances in a Mississippi State uniform as a starting pitcher. We never knew that he was going to be the Friday guy. Circumstances have kind of, pushed us in that direction. So we got to go out there and handle business. And Preston has stepped up to the plate. Preston is throwing winning baseball. We hadn't been able to support him with runs at times on Friday nights. Now he's on Saturdays. Again, I believe in the rotation. I do. But we got to go score some runs. We're not going to beat anybody 2-0, 2-1. We're not. We're not good enough on the back end to be able to win a game like that. We have got to be able to go get some separation. That's who we are. That's the identity of this team. In order for us to win, we got to go up there and put up 4 or 5 runs and probably give the bullpen a couple run cushion. And sometimes that's not even enough either. And it's not like anybody's not trying. And I read some things sometimes too, and I want to make sure that I share this with you. There's a lot of people out there that love Mississippi State, and when we lose, you feel it too, right? I mean, it impacts the quality of your life. It may not make the cost of rent go up, but you feel it, right? It impacts your day. You don't want to have to get up and go to work tomorrow and have to listen to that smarmy Ole Miss guy at the water cooler. I get it. I get it. But nobody cares more than the players do. Nobody's up there just trying to get out. And I have people that message me, oh, we're doing this and we're doing that. And I laugh sometimes. It's like I have people to say, I don't like our game plan here pitching to this guy. I don't like our approach at the plate here. Well, tell me what that is. What is our game plan? And how do you know? How did you learn our game plan? I don't know. I know enough about baseball to kind of watch sometimes, and you kind of pick up on some things. I don't know what the scouting report is for these guys, but I know, whatever we did to Tim Elko was good last night, but he is a great player. He'll adjust today, figure out how we're attacking him, and he'll try to make an adjustment, say, you know what, this is what their scouting report says on me, so I've got to kind of change up my game a little bit. Baseball is a game of adjustments. But it's like we learned a little bit of the lingo. We're like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. And that's what I say, well, tell me, what is it? What's our game plan? And then it's like, well, I just know that. No, I mean, you don't know. I don't know. I pick up a few things talking to people from time to time. But it's like we get this caught up in all this stuff, and it's like we get the verbiage, and it's like we want to sound credible. And at the end of the day, let's just call it for what it is. We're disappointed. We're disappointed we're not winning more ball games. We're disappointed at times in how we're playing. Just call it what it is. We're not having a good year. We're not capitalizing on the national championship season. There's some guys that we've really counted on that hadn't come through yet, and we hope they do. And we hope they do before it's too little too late. That's the reality of all this. All the other stuff, all the jargon and everything else, just forget that. So let's just be honest about it. We got to go win tonight. We got to win this series. We have to. And listen, it's not lost on me that we're 16-4 against those guys in the last 20 games. Trust me. I like being able to hold that over their heads too. But we got bigger fish to fry than that, though. We're trying to get to the NCAA regional. And I believe this is a team. Listen, I don't think we've got enough pitching depth to win a super. I don't. I do think we can get in a regional and win. I do. Especially if we can stay out of the loser's bracket. But at this point, after all we've gone through and the adversity that we faced and the inconsistency that we played with at times, if we get to a regional, I'm going to be really excited about that. No matter what happens the rest of the way. But not making the tournament, to me, I think is unacceptable. Now, what does that mean? Unacceptable. I think it's an unacceptable expectation. Nobody's losing a job. Like I have people all the time, well, what has to happen for us to make a change? We're not making a coaching change. Are you kidding me? We're not going to shake up the staff. We're not doing that. We just won a national championship. And this is the very next year we have some injuries and we have some guys leave and we're thinking, what are we going to do? We're going to ride it out. That's what we're going to do. We're going to come back next year and be a better ball team for it, I mean, it's like We're Mississippi State. It's like I read some of these things sometimes, and it blows me away. It's like, and I get there are a lot of people that don't have a sense of history, and that's okay too. It's okay. We can be prisoners of the moment, but at the same time too, I'm glad many of you are not making decisions when it comes to our baseball program. And I love you to death, but I think it's time. Sometimes we got to take a deep breath. And I'm a firm believer that there is a market out there for sports wives. I do. And what I think this market is, and maybe some tech person will come up with this, is maybe you install an app on your husband's phone, and maybe some husbands need to do it to their wives, but there's this significant other deal where you can install an app that is activated from your phone, that during a ball game that you can deactivate their social media accounts, that they can't have access to it. Maybe you're updating them or whatever, because there are so many people. It's like, and I know it comes from a good place because we all want Mississippi State to win, but there are a lot of times people will just go put stuff out there on social media, and it's like, it's maybe say it across the dining room table or across the living room. We don't have to go tweet every single thought. And it's like I see these people too that being so hypercritical of people they don't even know. When RJ hit that home run to beat Alabama, it was a little different deal, right? Right? You think RJ Yeager wanted to make that error yesterday? I can promise you nobody on that baseball team right now feels worse about that than RJ Yeager. You can take that to the bank. Arguably our best player. You don't think that guy's going to come out knowing that I went 0 for 4 yesterday and I made the error that ultimately cost us the game? Yeah, he's a competitor, though. He'll respond. He ain't going to come out there and cry and pout today. He's not going to get out there on Twitter and start fighting with people. He's going to go get in the cage. I expect a better game from RJ tonight. We need it. All right, time for today's Top 10 list, brought to you by closewithblair.com. Be sure and check him out. And that's the thing I've shared with you guys before. It's like in the mortgage process, getting a mortgage, refinancing a mortgage, getting approvals, getting a second, all that stuff, it can be stressful. It's like you just want to get it done. The process in and of itself is very difficult. It pays to have a mortgage professional to assist you with all this. That's Blair Chandler. Longtime friend of mine, longtime friend of Mississippi State, has a place here, season ticket holder, multiple sports. That guy's committed. He's not just out here asking for your business. He's part of your Bulldog family. So visit him at closewithblair.com. He tells me that there are still a lot of people that are overextended when it comes to credit card debt. They're just trying to kind of bide their time and not really making any progress. You're just kind of treading water. You're never going to pay that debt off, just making the minimum payment. Let's get it handled today. Let's go ahead and consolidate that debt down to one monthly payment. Improve your credit score. Improve your quality of life. Get off the week-to-week or paycheck-to-paycheck hamster wheel. Blair can help you with that. Or maybe if you're looking to buy a home, no better place to go with Blair Chandler. Blair's part of the Fairway Mortgage Group, recently voted #1 in customer satisfaction when it came to mortgage lending. So you got the best guy with 21 years of industry in the industry, top 1% close ratio in the country, working for a great mortgage company like Fairway Mortgage. Let me give you Blair's personal number, and you can call or text him today. And you're probably thinking, well, Steve, I just don't know. The call's free. He's not going to bill you for your time. Maybe you text him and say, hey, I've been thinking about this. Is now a good time? What are my options? You don't have to sign anything. You don't have to go write a check to talk to the guy. Give him a call or text today at 601-500-2344. Again, that's 601-500-2344. And here's the thing, too. You mentioned to him, you heard about him on the Boneyard. He's going to pay for your appraisal. You get a lot of bang for your buck just being one of our peeps, man. It's about a $500 to $600 value. He's going to take care of that for you. All right, so here we go. Top 10. And so one of my friends on social media, I've got a lot of friends I hadn't met yet. You know what I mean? That's one of the great things about social media is we can have relationships with people, friendships and partnerships with people that, different parts of the country because we have a shared interest. And so one of my friends reached out to me, one of my internet Twitter friends, said, hey, Steve, idea for the top 10 list. What about, songs and bands you hate? We've done that a while back. It was very popular. So I decided to do it again, but it's the most annoying bands. Top 10 most annoying bands. And I started to give you like their worst songs because I want you to hate them too. And maybe hate's a strong word. Maybe it is. Maybe hate's a strong word for music. Even, part of the issue too is it's not necessarily the bands or the music. Sometimes it's the fans. Like fans, like same thing like with Ole Miss. I'm sure a lot of people have had a great experience at Ole Miss, but like their fans just kind of ruin it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, yeah. I mean, I'm sure Ole Miss is Oxford's a nice town, but then if I could go to Oxford, then I got to be around Ole Miss people. So it's like, if I want to do that, there's no breakfast worth that. All right, so top 10 most annoying bands to me. And let me share this with you, too. I know a lot of people get very personal about all this stuff. Like, I get it. I like all kinds of rock music. I can go all the way back to the 50s and 60s and up to yesterday. I get it. Matter of fact, Bring Me the Horizon dropped a new song today. Love that. Love it. Love Bring Me the Horizon. So I'm pretty well versed when it comes to music. But here's the deal. I never just pick who I like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't just wake up one day and said, you know what? I'm going to be a Motley Crue fan. No. I heard the Shout at the Devil cassette. My friend Mike Cook had it, and I was like, man, these guys are great. So when I bought the tape, I didn't just say, you know what, hey, I'm going to do this. And I honestly think sometimes there's some bands out there that it's like, it's so contrived. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to like this band, and so let me find one or two songs, but then you don't ever listen to that band. Like, I see that a lot. Like, I see these kids walking around with their Nirvana t-shirts they bought at Spencer's Gifts or whatever, or they bought it on Amazon or whatever, and they can't tell you two or three songs, that Nirvana sang, and so that kind of stuff annoys me too. But here we are, and I'm going back to the 80s. I'm bringing some bands from the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s on this list. Not a lot of newer bands have really grated on my nerves too much. So here we go, top 10 most annoying bands. And I went with what I thought was a good song from each of the bands. As good as they could produce. I mean, some of these bands are terrible. And so it was very, very difficult. And in order to do this, I had to listen to snippets of so many of these bad songs. So I got to go have a good lunch today, kind of turn my day around. So here we go, top 10 most annoying bands brought to you by the friends at closewithblair.com. All right, number 10, back in the 80s, there was a band called Crocus, and I know some people really like them. I never got it, man. I never got it. I thought the music was very simplistic. I think the chord progressions were just basically, and listen, let's be honest. A lot of the guitar playing in the early to mid 80s was not very good. Got much better when we had guys like Steve Vai, Tony McAlpine, and Joe Satriani, and Chris DeGarmo, Michael Walton. You had guitar evolved. I thought these guys were just very, very basic. I think they were really kind of in many ways, trying to be like a Judas Priest cover band. And I love KK Downing and those guys from Judas Priest. But I think, a lot of reasons people play those songs because they're easier to play. Well, I think Crocus was like a poor man's Judas Priest cover band. But I did go with Headhunter. Headhunter, I think, is a decent song. I like the percussion on it. I can't stand the vocalist. And there's some people out there that are going to message me and say, Steve, how dare you say that about Crocus? I just didn't get it. Number 9, speaking of not getting it, and I had a tough time picking these songs for this list. The band Incubus. I don't get it. I don't. I know many of you like it. And what's that? Megalomaniac. That's a pretty decent song there. I didn't go with that one. But Incubus is one of those things. I felt like that I was force-fed Incubus. It's like every time I would turn on, Sirius Octane, I had to hear an Incubus song like once an hour. And so I kind of rebelled against it. I'm like, dude, you guys chill with all this Incubus. They're okay. They're not great. And so because I was force-fed, I was like, they'd come up, I would switch over to Hair Nation or Ozzy's Boneyard or something. I'd just move away from it. But I went with the song Dig, which is a good one, I think. And Incubus has a couple of decent songs. But their popularity, I don't think, matches their talent. Number 8, and I know that some people are going to be upset about this, and that's okay. I know many of you are REM fans, and I went to the REM church steeple when I was in Athens, Georgia, and I felt honored to go do that. REM, Michael Stipe at times can be very, very irritating, I think. I think Michael's a guy that really loves attention. He's an incredibly talented guy, too. But I went back a few years. My sister, Kim, many of you don't know that Kim is my sister. I get that all the time. Oh, I had no idea that Kim Kennedy was your sister. Yeah, she's absolutely my sister. And So she bought me this one day, this album, and I'm like, I don't like REM. And she goes, oh, it was real popular, and she bought it, so I went and returned it. And I feel kind of bad for saying that now because, here she was just trying to be sweet to me. But she bought it, and I returned it, and I'm sure I got, rat or something. But I picked the one I love in honor of my sister Kim. I love her, but not in that way. But this is the album that she bought me, and it had that single. This one goes out to the one I love. So Kim, in honor of you buying me an REM tape that I didn't really want, you're very sweet to do it anyway. This is for you. Number 7, a lot like REM. It's like, there's a consistent theme with all this. These bands are annoying. And I know that this is another one that some of you guys, again, I don't get it. Again, I don't think you choose to like certain bands. I think they just strike a chord with you. And so, it's different strokes for different folks. Like, I'm not this music snob. I don't just feel like, oh, if you listen to this, you got to be a loser. Hey, you like whatever you want to like. I don't like Coldplay. I don't. I like Gwyneth Paltrow, but I don't like Coldplay. And some of you will get the joke. But I do think the song Yellow is decent. I know many of you like that Viva La Vida, like that opening of strings in the beginning. It makes me want to take hostages. When I hear that, it just grates on my nerves so bad. It is so incredibly pretentious. It's not beautiful at all to me. Maybe to you. And clocks, are you kidding me? Like if it comes on the radio, it's like I'm thinking to myself, am I being punked here? What's happening? So I change the channel. I don't like Coldplay. You feel free to love them. I went with the song Yellow. It is the one that I can at least stomach. Number 6, we got a modern rock band here. And here's the problem that I have with them. Number 1, the singer's not very good. And he's very monotone. And you can tell that there's a lot of effects used to make his voice at least marketable. He has no range whatsoever. And it all sounds the same. And it's like he's forcing it out. And when I hear it, like when I see people wearing a Volbeat shirt, I think I want to avoid that guy. I don't want to have to hear about it. Oh, you don't like Volbeat? No, I don't. I don't like Volbeat. I don't like him at all. I used to like the song Still Counting. I thought it was pretty cool, kind of funny. But then it's like, it became again one of these things on Octane. It's like they were buying airtime. It's like every time I turn around, it's like, I've got another Volbeat song in my face. And it's like, guys, I'll go download the album if I want to hear it in its entirety. I don't get it at all. They've got a couple decent songs, but the singer's voice just absolutely drives me crazy. The band rocks. The singing's terrible. It's awful. And you may love Volbeat, and I guarantee you love him because the band rocks. You don't love him because the singer is great. He's not. But I went with a Warrior's Call. I love that opening guitar riff. And it's one of those, when this one comes on Sirius Octane, I'm like, okay, I can at least sit here and listen to this for 4 minutes. Great song. But again, I'm not a Volbeat fan. And it's just, again, I can't stand being force-fed all this mediocre stuff. Number 5, speaking of mediocre, it's the band Everclear. Man, I hate these guys. It's like I begin to think to myself, if these guys can get a record deal, anybody can. Anybody. I know some of you are like, oh, but Steve, no. Guys, stop. Stop trying to tell me that Everclear is good. Matter of fact, the next 5 bands, I know this is going to be controversial. None of these 5 bands, with maybe one exception, should have even had a record deal. I think to myself, are these people like, do they have something on somebody? Everclear is not good. Lyrical content, not good. Vocal delivery, not good. Instrumentation, very, very mediocre. But for a while there, they were everywhere. You give them credit. And I got into a discussion on Twitter one time with a Bulldog fan about Everclear, and there was a song of theirs that he really liked. And listen, you have your right to like whatever you want. I won't ever judge you for that. I'll judge the band. Everclear sucks, man. I'm just gonna lay it out there for you. And it's like sometimes it's like, oh, well, they were on the radio, so it's like you hear it enough. It's like a ladder of awareness type thing. It's like you hear it enough. Oh, that's not bad. If I've got to listen to it 50 times to think, hey, it's not bad, it's not good. That's all it is. It's not bad. But we went with Santa Monica. And I'll be honest with you, this was hard to do. To pick an Everclear song to put on this list, it almost made me rethink the whole thing. I was like, guys, these guys are no good. Number 4, and another, oh my gosh, this is another one that just makes me want to grit my teeth when I have these discussions with people. And again, I don't know what you love or you like, but don't sit here and try to tell me that anybody outside of Travis Barker is exceptionally talented in Blink-182. And I thought Travis was better out of Blink-182. The stuff that he did, the sit-ins, the remixes that he did, the guy's ultra talented. Blink-182 is basically watered down punk for Starbucks drinkers. And that's what it is. It's what it is. And you can say, but Steve, that's not, no, it is. Yeah, and I'm a guy that grew up listening, to the surf punks and people like that and Black Flag. Of course, the Sex Pistols. I mean, it's like they had the one great album. But my point being is like, I get it, but this pop punk thing that we did not work. And if you go look at what's happened in recent years to these bands, it was a flash in the pan. But Steve, they're still playing. Well, yeah, they're broke. I mean, goodness, man. I mean, they're playing Knott's Berry Farm trying to peddle T-shirts they need tonight. Come on, give me a break. But I went with the signature song just because I wanted to make you guys happy. Those of you that are, but Steve. So it's all the small things. Yeah, I guess really the only great thing about Blink-182 is they had Janine on the cover of one of their albums. I can't remember the name of the album. But anyway, Blink-182, number 4. I didn't get it. You feel free to like that mediocre stuff all you want to. It's your life. It's your car. The soundtrack of your life can be as monotone as you want it to be. Number 3, and I know I'm going to get some hate on this one because these guys have a huge following, and that's okay too. But it's Dave Matthews Band. I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's like I read and I hear about these people that go to these big shows and, they get high and go to the show. And I would have to be high to go to a Dave Matthews Band show too. There's no way I can walk in there sober and be able to enjoy that. It's like, hey, man, let's all go drop some acid and smoke some weed and go hear Dave Matthews. Well, if you got to do that, that says a lot about the music. And other people are like, oh, I've been all over the country to see Dave Matthews. Cool. Are you going for the show or are you going for the drugs? I mean, give me a break. Not a fan at all. Not to suggest that everybody that likes the DMB has got a substance abuse problem. Not going to say that. But I don't get it. I don't get all the fiddles and that kind of stuff. I don't get it. It's not my thing. It can be your thing. It's not my thing. I think they're extremely annoying. And when all these people are like, dude, you got to go to a Dave Matthews Band show. Guys, I think I'd rather shoot myself than go to a Dave Matthews Band show. I mean, the thought of having to endure that for a couple of hours almost just seems like a penalty worse than death. Number 2, you probably thought these guys were going to be number 1, but I flip-flopped them today because at least there's a couple songs from this band that I really like. And sometimes I ask myself, maybe I hadn't been fair to this band, maybe because of the fact that they got all this notoriety and really kind of killed the hair metal movement in some people's eyes. I think what killed the hair metal movement was greed and excess and the fact that we had this cookie cutter idea of what we thought music should be, and it got really bloated, and it was killing itself. And then grunge comes along, and it just gave us an alternative, because all of a sudden we were kind of getting back to this rock. All of a sudden it didn't matter what shade lipstick you were wearing or that sort of stuff, or how much hair you had. I mean, it was a whole different deal. But it's Nirvana, the number 2 most annoying band. And I'll be honest with you, like when they came out with Smells Like Teen Spirit and they had the video, I'm like, oh, these guys are decent, And Nirvana went on Headbangers Ball with Ricky Ragman, and Kurt Cobain was so incredibly rude and disrespectful. And I was like, this is the biggest rock show in the country, and Ricky Ragman was our guy. And then you're going to go on there and disrespect. Just don't even go. I mean, it's like you already think that you've got some type of feeling of superiority. At that point, Nirvana had a couple of albums out that nothing had happened with. Nothing. Absolutely nothing had happened with. And the next thing you know, Nevermind comes along, which is a corporate rock creation. All of a sudden, they put some money behind the band. And if you've read the subsequent interviews, you can still find them online. Kurt Cobain will tell you he wasn't a big fan of the Nevermind album. And so when they came out with In Utero, the album nearly got shelved because the record company wanted Nevermind Part 2, but Kirk wanted to go back and kind of be true to themselves and play more punk stuff. And so out of that In Utero album came what I think is the best Nirvana song, and that's Heart Shaped Box. I think the guitar on this is really good. I like the tuning on it. I don't like the guitar solo, but I love the kind of the overall tenor of this song. Heart Shaped Box from Nirvana. Many of you love Nirvana, and that is absolutely, you're right. They got way too much credit for something they didn't really do. It's like even now, like kids today, it's like, oh, Nirvana founded grunge. No, they didn't. Matter of fact, Soundgarden had already sold about 2 million records before Nirvana had a record deal. So if we're going to give credit, let's give credit to Screaming Trees and the Melvins and Green River and Mother Love Bone that ultimately became kind of Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. Let's give those bands credit for finding the movement. Now, you can say that Nirvana was the band that record companies wanted to push. That may be the case, but I submit to you that there is nothing that Nirvana has done that matches what Soundgarden and Pearl Jam did. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You have the right to be wrong. And that's my opinion. You can love Nirvana. I don't. I think they're extremely annoying. The only good thing to come out of Nirvana was Dave Grohl. Number one, and these rankings are always fluid, right? Number one, it's Green Day. And again, when all the pump, I favored The Offspring over Green Day. I think The Offspring is a more fun band. I thought Green Day was extremely contrived. They killed the Guitar Hero franchise. Everybody's like, hey, let's go do Green Day. Some hipster out there is like, yeah, man, Rock Band and Guitar Hero are just killing it. We're doing great. Well, how can we screw it up? Oh, I don't know. Let's go do Green Day. And so here we are. So they killed the Rock Band and the Guitar Hero franchise. Hey, let's go do it. So they kill that, and then I don't know if you know that I think their last couple albums sold like 50,000 copies. It was awful, but Uno Dos Tres, whatever it was. Here's the hint to you: is that Green Day wasn't good in the first place. Again, it's punk for Starbucks drinkers. That's what it is, and I agree with Johnny Rotten. They're not a punk band. I think these guys are just a pop band that plays out of tune, and they call it punk. And I'll be honest with you, I was almost clueless about what song to pick. And so I listened to a handful of Green Day songs again to familiarize myself, and some of these songs make me want to vomit. I mean, I get physically ill when I hear Billy Joe Armstrong's voice, and I think to myself, how many people have wasted their money buying this music? I mean, honestly, we talk about doing a fundraiser. We should do like a GoFundMe buyback. I think Green Day should buy all those records back from you guys. I really do. How many people bought it? And it's like, hey man, this is great. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I wasted $20 on this CD. So I went with the song Holiday, and it's the only thing that I listened to from them. And it's like, you know what? At least this sounds like something that wasn't contrived to be a radio type deal, because like many of you think about your favorite Green Day songs, they're supposed to be a punk band, but we're talking about I hope you had the time of your life. So the Seinfeld stuff, Wake Me When September Comes. Give me a break. How about Don't Wake Me? How about Wake Me When You Guys Stop Touring? How about that? There you go. Top 10 most annoying bands. As I see it, I am ready to die on this hill. If you guys want to fight it out on Twitter or on the message boards, come at me, bro. I'm good. I'm down to throw hands here. If you have an idea for the top 10 list, reach out and let me know. I'm available on all forms of social media at Scout Steve R. Again, that's at Scout Steve R. Be sure and give me a follow there. And you can find the list. Roy Samante, my buddy, at Dogmatic67. That's DAWGMATIC 67. He puts these things on Spotify. And then our friend Izzy gets behind from time to time, but he will get caught up. But you can see the list and have that engagement. I know some of you are like me. You're Apple Music people. And, our people, it's our sense of humor that has sustained us for 20 years or so now. So I'm not a Spotify person. Many of you are. That's cool. To each their own. But I would encourage you to improve the quality of your life is remove these bands from your Spotify and your Apple Music library. You'll be glad you did. You know, as I travel around the Southeast chasing the Bulldogs around, I see it everywhere. Everybody's hiring. America's workforce not back at its full capacity just yet. A lot of businesses out there struggling to find quality employees. Maybe you're one of them. Let me offer some suggestions. Go visit my friends at Indeed. They've got it figured out for you. They can help you. It's a great partnership. You know how it is. If the Bulldogs don't have the right players with the right skills, chances of winning pretty slim. It's the same for you and your business. Maybe you'd like to be able to do more, but you can't. You got staffing concerns that are holding you back. If you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applicants that meet your must-have job requirements, or else you don't pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates that may work out, get some ones that you know will with the right skills. That you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you get that done. Indeed partners with you on every step of the hiring process. Find great talent through time-saving tools like the Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your job description, and you can invite them to apply for your position right away. Plus, you only pay for the quality applications that meet your must-have requirements. Here's the deal, too. We're going to save you a little money, too. If you're a business out there that's trying to make some things happen, and you say, you know what, Steve, I've never used a company like this, allow me to give you some incentive. How about $75 credit with Indeed? Start hiring right now with that $75 credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Boneyard. That offer is only good through the end of the month. It expires April 30th. That's Indeed.com/Boneyard to claim your $75 credit before April 30th. Terms and conditions may apply. You need to hire. You need Indeed. There's no doubt about it. Hey, Bulldog fans, do you enjoy celebrating? There's always something to celebrate, whether it be a big win from our Bulldogs or perhaps a major life event in someone you care about, whether it be a friend or family having a baby or getting married or getting a promotion or moving to a new home. Maybe you're looking for that perfect housewarming gift. Maybe you just want to celebrate yourself keeping the couch warm and staying out of trouble, right? It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without even leaving your house. Right now, Drizzly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order with code FAST5. That's F-A-S-T, the number 5, FAST5. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. And use promo code FAST5 for $5 off of your first order. Drizzly is the number one app for alcohol delivery. It's the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits will deliver to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. It's quite the service there. So just check it out today. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. Again, that's DRIZLY.com. And use promo code FAST5. That's F-A-S-T and the number 5. All right, time for another quick look at some things that I've done a little research and I want to talk about transferring. All right, this segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart. You guys know Stan the man. Stan's retiring soon, so you need to go by there and see him and get your complimentary hug before he leaves. Be sure and go and see him. Stan has served this great community for many years, and Campus Bookmart, of course, will soldier on without him. But it's a loss, man. Stan's a great guy, really is. Been great to me. Really think a lot of Stan Ray. He'll be out in Left Field Lounge if you're looking for him. But in the meantime, maybe buy yourself a retirement gift. Stan will be happy about that. Send him out with style. Be sure and go to campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays. That is BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That'll get you free shipping on all orders over $50. Again, they don't take ducks as a form of payment, but kind of laughing at myself there. But I love Campus Bookmart. Such a great selection there of Mississippi State merchandise. They also have all 5 of my books, so while you're buying yourself some Mississippi State merch to wear on vacation, you can fill out your collection of Steve Robertson writing materials. How about that? Be sure and check that out. It's campusbookmart.net. Again, promo code BSR. All right. I'm working on a piece. I don't know when I'll be finished with it. I have been thinking about this, and I've talked to some people, and it's difficult to get hard numbers. Back in 15, when they approved the cost of attendance increase to college athletic scholarships, and those are all in, head counter sports rather than equivalent sports, that, it's the guys that are already getting 100% are getting more money, guys and gals. And I don't know that that's fair. But when those numbers were released, people began to use them as a recruiting tool. It's like, hey, yeah, you can go here, but we're going to give you a bigger stipend here. It's like if you begin to think about, hey, there's two schools that are on a kid's finalist, you can say, you know what, we're going to pay you more to come to school here. So that is part of it, too, that I think it's important. Even though it's not huge money, it's still pocket money. And if you remember being a broke college student, and a lot of guys can't get dates because they can't get jobs. So you can't take a girl out. You got to just hope you meet a girl at a party or whatever, and she's funding her own fun. But they changed it a little bit to allow guys to get a little more money. So when you begin to factor that in, and you factor in, the recent ruling that was upheld by the United States Supreme Court that enables schools to pay $5,980 a year to students that attend class and make good grades, and it's very easy to get. The threshold to get those funds is very, very small. It's very low. And so you begin to kind of stack all this together, and you realize that not every school is going to be able to fund that. There are some schools that are fortunate enough to be able to fund a team. They're not going to throw more money into a non-revenue producing situation. A lot of schools just don't have the money. And so Mississippi State does. Mississippi State is paying their student athletes the $59.80. So on top of your scholarship and your stipend, you get these additional funds. Then you factor in what you get from an apparel standpoint. You can say, well, Steve, it's not that significant. Have you bought merchandise lately? And think about this. I mean, they're giving you a tremendous amount of gear. I know when Ani played college baseball, I could not believe all the gear they gave him. You get practice gear. You get stuff to wear on trips because they want the team to look like a team when you go somewhere. When you get off the bus, everybody's wearing official issue merchandise. They give you workout gear. They give you all sorts of stuff. And so for many of these guys and ladies, a big part of their wardrobe is provided by the university. Mississippi State's deal with Adidas, it's not one of the best, but it's in probably, I guess last time I looked, was in the top 60 apparel deals in all of college athletics. And so you're getting a high number of items to wear for free just because you represent a certain university. And again, not every school can afford to do that. There are some schools out there that, you get a couple things. You get your uniform and they give you a few things to wear, but then you got a tournament at the end of the year. Well, this is to keep. Every time you turn around, there's fresh gear. Adidas does a good job of Mississippi State, and I'm told that Mississippi State's apparel arrangement with Adidas is above the average in the industry. Then you think about the branding, and you think about all that Mississippi State does for student athletes to prepare them to go into the job market. Because let's be honest, I mean, that's the thing I think some people, forget. Let's look at college football here. What percentage? What percentage? And I'm typing as you hear that. What percentage of college football players go pro? Those numbers are very, very small. It's 1.6%. 1.6% of college level players will get drafted in the National Football League. 1.6%. So as the ad says, the majority of these folks are going to go pro in something other than sports. And so you begin to think about branding. You begin to think about job search. You think about job fairs and job skills and things like that. And how do you interview? And all of the resources that are put in front of players to ensure that they are prepared to go into the workforce. A lot of schools can't afford to do that. And so when you begin to think about transferring, it's like, well, I'm going to transfer from Mississippi State. There is a trade-off for sure. I'm going to transfer out of Mississippi State, and I want to go and get more playing time. Well, you may get more playing time. The thing that I think about too is like, begin to think about some of these lower level conferences. All right, let's say you go to the Sun Belt. It's like, okay, I'm not starting here at Mississippi State. And so I got to go somewhere that I can get on the field and I can prove to the NFL scouts that I can do it. Guys, the Sun Belt Conference, the 2021 draft, just 4 players drafted. 4. That's it. If you're not going to start at Mississippi State, the chances of you making the draft, extremely slim. The Joe Burrow effect, in many respects, has kind of, I guess, galvanized the transfer portal. People are thinking, you know what, hey, I got to get on the field somewhere to show people what I can do. And then Joe Burrow wins the Heisman Trophy and is the first pick in the draft out of Cincinnati Bengals and then has a great start to his career. Guys, he is the exception rather than the rule. And so you begin to think, okay, the NFL is a dream, but am I going to put my family in a worse financial situation just to get on the field? Now, some people don't care. So you can listen, you only get a short time in life to play sports. You've heard me say that a million times on the show. So I'm going to go somewhere that I can play because at some point I'm going to be punching a clock like everybody else, and I'm going to have all these boring conference calls and these meetings and things like that, and at least I'll have a few years of play under my belt. I get that aspect of it. But if we're leaving as a reserve player at Mississippi State or Ole Miss or anywhere, even Alabama or Auburn, the chances of us transferring somewhere else and becoming an NFL player pretty remote. You can say, but Steve, look at Mekhi Polk. You know what? Mekhi Polk is a transfer portal success story. He is. He was underutilized at Cal, comes to Mississippi State, gets in a pass-first offense, sets school records, and there's still a lot of discussion out there that he's not going to be drafted. He may be a late-round guy, maybe a UFA guy. He's not a burner, but he is a great route runner. He's very much a competitive guy. He may make a roster. But think about that for a second. The fact that a guy could come here after a transfer and have a record-setting year and still not get drafted, that's a possibility. That's a real possibility. I hope that's not the case. I know some people said, hey, he's probably a mid-rounder. I don't know that I agree with that. If I'm not mistaken, he was last in the Power 5 in yards after the catch. He probably needed another year. He felt he wanted to bet on himself. We support him. We don't have to agree with his decision to say, you know what, we wish the best for Mekhi Polk. I don't wish any ill will on the guy. The guy was fantastic. Think a lot of Mekhi Polk. But the fact that a guy could come out and put up that kind of year and kind of be a fringe NFL pick kind of illustrates the point that you begin to realize that, the chances of me leaving and catching fire somewhere else and then getting on the NFL radar is pretty slim. And that's the thing I think about, too, is like, think about guys, and again, you think I'm maybe being critical here, but let's say a guy leaves here and transfers to Southern Miss or UL Lafayette or whatever, and all of a sudden you get to the midpoint of the month and you don't get that check, or you do get a check and it's not what you were getting here. There are some players on our team in years past that have given some of their money to their families because their families needed it more than they did. So now all of a sudden we're going to remove that revenue stream to go play and chase a dream that is pretty futile. Again, everybody's got to make a decision on for themselves, but I don't know that a lot of people have really looked at the finances behind all this. I mean, think about this for a second. Let's say it's $6,000, right? You get 4 to 5 years of the academic supplement. That's almost $6,000. I mean, that's a difference, before your period of nearly $25,000. That's big money. And you begin to look at the difference in the stipend. Let's say Mississippi State has one of the highest in the SEC. It's nearly $6,000. So let's throw that in there too. So that's $12,000 a year, which works out to $1,000 a month in their pocket. And let's not forget the fact that all your expenses are paid. Your medical's paid, your housing's paid, your books are paid, your meals are paid, your clothing's paid. Your transportation's paid for the most part. And then you're going to get some pocket money on top of that. Forget the NIL. I'm just talking about the average player. I'm talking about the guy that's on scholarship that may never make a contribution. And then you're going to graduate with the branding of being a former SEC athlete. Or, think about this. I mean, let's say that you were in the car business. And you've got an articulate guy, and I'll give you Chad Bumpus as a great example. I love Chad Bumpus. and Chad's going to coach football for as long as he wants to. But let's say Chad decided to go into retail. Chad's a guy that was a hero here at Mississippi State. You don't think that resume sitting on somebody's desk is going to get picked over, the guy that majored in business administration that doesn't have a name? Well, of course. So it's a ladder of awareness type thing. And so you begin to benefit from that. Let's say you transfer here and let's say you go to Eastern Michigan. They don't even know who you are. How many times do you think about our baseball players? And, of course, the scholarship situation is much different. That's unfortunate. But you've got a college baseball player. I mean, the guys here that play at State and Ole Miss, especially in baseball, those guys are heroes. Those guys are heroes. And I don't just mean the Jake Mangums of the world. Some guy walks in, puts a resume on your desk, and you look up and say, oh, Alex Detz, I remember you. You played on a 2013 Mississippi State team and went to Omaha. I remember that. You played for a national championship. Come on in and have a seat. Life's a lot easier when you don't have to introduce yourself. And that's what happens. And so the cost of transferring, I think, is almost impossible to quantify. But I think that is a part of this process that nobody's really talking about, especially the financial part of it. I mean, you begin to think, okay, it's $12,000 that I'm getting between the stipend and the academic performance over the course of 5 years. That is a significant amount of money. We're talking $60,000. $60,000 over 5 years going to college. Then you can take a girl on a decent date. You want to take her to Harvey's and go feed her a steak or whatever? You can afford to do that without going broke. It's a different day and time. But all of a sudden, you begin to think about, okay, first of the month I get my meal money and I get my housing stipend. Middle of the month I get my other stipend. And then all of a sudden you've got this $59.80 that's coming out too. It's like you begin to realize the economics of this thing. It makes sense if you can get to the Power 5 to stay at the Power 5. Because many people out there are kind of deluding themselves into thinking, hey, if I can just go somewhere else and get on the field, I'm going to make it happen. Well, there's a reason you're not on the field. If it's a quarterback or even a kicker, I kind of get it. Because there's only one of those. We're going to play 8-9 receivers this year. You're a wide receiver. Why would you ever leave? Oh, well, I'm going to go somewhere else and I'm going to start. Listen, dude, you're 5'9.5" and, you run, a 4.58. You can't play here. It's like, well, I'm going to go in a more traditional brand of offense. How many passes are you going to catch over there? You're probably going to be a second teamer there too. And so you begin to kind of look at the reality of the situation and you realize, number one, it's going to make it more difficult, to have your expenses paid at school. Yeah, you get your full scholarship and you can live in a dorm, whatever. But what are you going to do? You're going to walk away from all that money when the school you go to can't fund the full stipend for you. The school you go to can't fund the academic enhancement. And I don't think anybody's sitting them down telling them that. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen to these guys that transfer out? And some of them transfer out, and it's kind of a mutual thing. It's probably like, hey, you're not going to play here. If you want to go somewhere to play, we'll help you. That happens all the time. It's, hey, Coach so-and-so will take you. You're not going to play here, but they need, they need a defensive back here at Southern Miss. I know that guy. And that they're willing to take you, that they're hurting for death, man. You got a chance to be a two-deeper there. Well, if you really want to go play, yeah, cool. But then you find out that, there's a lot less money to go around month to month that allows me to go do the things that I want to do. And listen, there's a lot of guys that live like kings. Don't get me wrong. I'm not even trying to suggest that. But I think there is an economic aspect of transferring that a lot of people are ignorant about. There is more money available today to student athletes than there have been in the history of college athletics. And I don't think that has been fully illustrated. So again, it's difficult to get hard numbers, but I'm going to put some things together. And over at genespage.com, I'll make it a free article. We'll talk about it a little bit more on the show. I don't know when I'm going to write it, but I'm intrigued by this because I actually had a friend kind of mention this to me. He's like, have you really considered what these kids are walking away from? And I don't think their families know it either. I mean, like if somebody could sit down and say, okay, listen, I understand you want to transfer, but all of a sudden, these are the expenses you're going to have to pick up by transferring. And I'm not saying trying to talk a guy and stay in a bad situation. I mean, everybody's got to make a decision for themselves. But when you begin to think about the expense that it is. I mean, I got 2 girls in college now, and thankfully they're very resourceful. They kind of make their own money. But they're also not playing college athletics. They don't have college athletics to take up their time. And so when you begin to think about, in the past we've had some college athletes here that have a different experience. They do, much different, much better than most of us. But what about that guy that's not a star football player? What about that guy that lady that's not a star basketball player? And maybe their family can't send them money. Maybe they can't afford to. It's like, hey, you're up there. You got a roof over your head. It's paid for. You got 3 meals a day. But, what are you going to do when the guy needs to go buy a coat? What are you going to do, perhaps, when a guy has car trouble? How do you pay for that? Well, you've got the ability to pay for it here on the Power 5 level. So, again, it makes perfect sense to me. And, again, everybody's situation is different. But I think it's worth talking about the economic aspect of all of this. All right, final segment of the show, we're going to look at the SEC baseball weekend. This is brought to you by Portico. If you haven't listened to the show before, and I'm sure you have, Portico, if I was moving to Starkville, that's where I would move. I would. I love the fact that it's so close to campus, and it's close enough for convenience but far enough away to have a little privacy. It's 1.1 miles away, and it's towards 82 off of 12. You're right across from that neighborhood market. Very easy to get to. You turn off of 82 on 12. The very first right is Pat Station Road. That takes you to Portico. Phase 1's completely sold out. Your new neighbors are already in place. Your new friends, people that are going to bring you your mail, that kind of thing. Those people are already there, living the high life, man, enjoying being a Starkvillian. You should come up here and be with us too. Reach out to our friend Brooks Bryan, former Diamond Dog Brooks Bryan. I hate to even say former, because that's kind of a lifelong designation. Brooks wore the M over S. Got a great appreciation for Brooks. 601-416-8075. Again, 601-416-8075. Portico, a fabulous place to live. Whether it be like maybe it's your place in Starkville, maybe it's your future retirement home. Maybe you want to Airbnb it out. I don't know. But it's great construction, great location, and great neighbors. Make Portico your next move. All right, let's take a quick look around the SEC. Only 2 series got underway last night. As you guys are well aware, Mississippi State drops game 1 to Ole Miss. And again, I cannot overstate it enough. We've got to win that ball game tonight. The only other series that started last night was LSU and Missouri. It was a game for a while. LSU ultimately wins the game 5-3. Jacob Berry with a big game for the Tigers there. So LSU and Ole Miss off to a 1-0 start this week in conference play. Let's look around the league here. Vanderbilt is at Kentucky. I don't know what to expect here. I would just like to see Kentucky get one. Kentucky has just been so up and down. Vanderbilt is not a great team this year. Vanderbilt, of course, not ranked at this point. Vanderbilt, a team not really expected to contend for a whole lot. But can they go into Lexington and get 2? I think they probably can. I'm going to pick Vanderbilt to win this series 2-1. Really need Kentucky to get one. Tennessee is at Florida. A lot of people are kind of saying this is a trap series for Tennessee. I don't know that I agree with that. I think Tennessee takes the series, but I won't be the least bit surprised, if Florida wins a game here. Again, they're looking at, life with some injuries too. That's the thing that I think a lot of people kind of don't maybe appreciate is that people think it only happens to us. I mean, it's like you're only acutely aware of what happens with your school when you begin to think it doesn't happen anywhere else. Hunter Barco, the ace pitcher for Florida, is shut down. Not going to pitch this weekend. So you got to give Tennessee some advantage there. Tennessee's a better team anyway, and now Florida's best pitcher is not going to pitch. And so then next thing you know, everybody slides up a spot. Not to mention Tennessee pitching has been outstanding. So I could see Tennessee winning the series. I do know that Kevin O'Sullivan will have a great game plan to shut down the Tennessee offense. But, I just think Tennessee is doing something in many respects that's it's kind of historic, not just for them, but you look at the number of home runs they're hitting and then the way they're pitching. It's not like the Gorilla Ball era where they're just kind of getting bound, outscoring everybody like 19-15. They're shutting people down. All right, South Carolina at Auburn, one of the most intriguing series of the weekend to me. Auburn's a team that's been up and down. South Carolina, those guys, if they are the definition of mediocrity, but you never know from one week into the next what you're going to get. I like this Auburn lineup, especially after seeing them in person last weekend. I like the Auburn lineup. They do grind you out. They're also a lot like South Carolina, where they're not going to score a ton of runs, but they're at home. So when you have two teams that are kind of similarly situated, even though I do think Auburn is a better team, South Carolina, of course, riding high after the series win over Ole Miss last weekend. South Carolina's going to have some confidence. But I think Auburn wins the series. Let's go 2-1 here. It would be interesting to see how South Carolina pitches Sonny DeShare. I think Mississippi State might have exposed him a little bit last night. We pitched him well last year too, but we exposed him last weekend, I think. Georgia at Alabama, they get Jonathan Cannon back. That is huge for Georgia. Alabama, of course, playing perhaps their best baseball of the year. I'm not going to be reluctant to pat myself on the back. There were a lot of people that thought Alabama was going to be in the tank this year, and I told you guys they'd be better. They are better, and I like that Alabama lineup too. That's not a lineup I'd want to see in a regional. And the starting pitching has been a little up and down, but this is again kind of a grinded out team. They're better. They'll make the tournament for the second straight years after kind of having a hiatus of sorts. I just think Georgia has probably got a little more in the tank pitching-wise. So let's go with Georgia, 2-1 winners in Tuscaloosa this weekend. If Alabama can win this series, it is huge for Alabama, huge. Missouri, of course, at LSU. I like LSU to sweep here. Missouri has been kind of a fly in the ointment for a few teams, though. It's like you look at them and say, okay, they're the last-place team in the East. And so you look at, well, they're just going to lay down for people. That's just not the case, and we know from experience that's not the case. But you look back at their SEC weekends, they get a win. They get swept by Vandy. They get a win on Saturday in Fayetteville, or maybe that was in Columbia. But, they get a game. They get a game from South Carolina the next week. They get swept by Tennessee. They get a game for Kentucky, and now they've lost. They got 2 from Kentucky. And I guess they took 2 from South Carolina. I'm looking at the schedule is backwards here. But my point being is that with few exceptions, they have been very, very competitive this year. So we're going to have to play well when we go up there. I do like LSU in this series. I do think LSU sweeps. Part of it's because they're playing at home. That's probably the biggest part of it. Is they're playing at home. LSU are really good in their own ballpark. Arkansas at A&M. Your rooting interest in this game is Arkansas. We're not going to catch Arkansas, so we need them to hang some losses on A&M so we can catch A&M. Of course, we play them, but the more interference we can get from some of the front runners, it's like you begin to look at all this stuff too. You almost want to root for the teams in the East, but really you want to root for the teams that are going to allow those teams that are around that we're chasing to take some losses. A&M, again, a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde team this year too. You never know what you're going to get with those guys, but they're clearly a better team than they were last year. Listen, we had 3 hard-fought games against those guys last year. Of course, you had a staff in there. Childress and those guys were kind of coaching for their jobs, so we kind of knew that coming in that we would get their best effort. But looking at A&M, you open up the year and they take 2 of 3 in Baton Rouge. And you're like, wow, look at this. Then they lose 2 of 3 at home to Auburn. Lose 2 of 3 to Alabama. Take 2 of 3 from Kentucky. And then they take 2 of 3 from Georgia. And that Georgia, that Sunday game, or Saturday game, 23-9. So this is a team that is very much capable of beating just about anybody, but also losing just about anybody. Arkansas, I think, playing their best baseball of the year. We like Arkansas to go take the series. So, again, it is a pretty wild situation right now in the SEC because there's still so many teams kind of congested in there together. But we don't just need other teams to run interference for us to let the traffic clear. We got to go win some games. It's like I look around the league and it's like, as I mentioned earlier in the show, we are running out of time. And you begin to look at this team and you begin to ask yourselves, what series are we going to win? Well, this is one we've been counting. This trip to Oxford. We've had some great success there. Of course, this is a different team. But when you look at how Ole Miss has played as of late, you feel like, hey, we're trending in the right direction. They're trending in the wrong direction. They get game one. And even though that I felt like that was the best chance for them to win a game, we had opportunities to win, but DeLucia shut us down. And that's as fair as I can be about it. It's not always about our lack of execution. Sometimes the other guy is just better, and DeLucia was great last night. He was. He was outstanding. Let his defense work for him. We got to go out there and get after Hunter Elliott today. You know, he's a left-hander, and, of course, that bullpen is somewhat porous, but we didn't even touch it last night, so we've got to find a way to make it happen. This is the biggest game of the year so far. You know, we have played ourselves into a corner here, and dropping this series could be incredibly detrimental to what has already been a very frustrating season. So, got to come out, got to play well. Reminder, I will be at Hobie's on Main. I'll be out there. Hobie will be there. We'll have a good time, have a lot of Bulldogs there. You'll be among friends. You come enjoy, have a cold beer. I won't be drinking. I'm retired from all that. But you come have a drink, get some books, and just kind of sit with friends and family and just kind of enjoy the game. I do feel good about us winning the game, and I do think whoever wins today will win the series. Obviously, with Ole Miss already having won a game, that's kind of an easy conclusion to make. I think this is the swing game. I do expect us to win on Saturday. I do think Cade Smith will do a good job shutting those guys down, and I think in many respects Derek Diamond is a guy that I don't know that he's right. You know, we heard back in the fall that he'd had some chronic back issues, and I just don't know that he's quite – back to what they had hoped that he would be. You know, he was expected to be the Friday night guy. And then, of course, you have Washburn to transfer from Oregon State. They had a hamstring injury last weekend. So this is a very vulnerable Ole Miss pitching staff. And we faced their best guy or their most consistent guy as of late last night. And he did a great job for him. But that's yesterday. It's a new day today. You win the day, I believe you win the series. And we have to win this series. It is simple as that. You can say, but Steve, we've still got 4 more. If we don't win this one, and this is the worst team left to play in many respects, and I know they're our rivals, and I'm not being disrespectful to them when I say this, but, you look at an RPI standpoint, everybody else that we're going to play on the weekends is ranked ahead of Ole Miss in the RPI. Everybody. So you lose this one, what is realistic to expect the rest of the way? Oh, we may win a game here, maybe win a series there. We got to get to 14. That means 8 more wins. So we need to get 2 of them this weekend. There's no time like the present. And I think this team does have a sense of urgency. And I'll be honest with you, I think the little celebration on the mound yesterday, and that's not to say that DeLucia and those guys didn't deserve to celebrate. It was a little bit over the top. And I know that there were some guys in the maroon and gray that noticed that. And my hope is it motivates them today to come out with maybe some killer instinct. And I think what you got to do is you got to shift the focus back to them. You got to shift the power back to them. You go out there and you win the day, and all of a sudden, your most consistent starter is going in game 3. So I think you can have some confidence there, but you got to go win the day. If you go win the day and you're just trying to salvage a game on Saturday to get you to 7, you start thinking, okay, we got to get 7 more wins over the course of the next 4 weekends. It's possible. I don't know how realistic it is, but the fact that we're in this position is very uncomfortable for all of us. And it doesn't matter how you articulate it. Maybe you're a person that gets on, social media and vents your frustration, or, maybe you punch a pillar, or I don't know, go outside and shoot a weapon. I don't know. But we're all feeling the same things. And we're all kind of hanging on for dear life, thinking, man, just make a regional somewhere and we'll see what happens. Just make a regional somewhere and we'll see what happens. When you lose games like that last night, even though you knew it was going to be a nip and tuck game, you begin to kind of realize, you know what? We're running out of time. We are. We cannot continue to drop games like that. We've got to find a way to win and to improve where we are. And the bottom line is, people always say, your record is who you are. That's the reality of it. We're not a great team. We're a good team, I think, that kind of performs kind of with mediocrity, and that's disappointing. We thought maybe we had outgrown that, especially considering that we had so many players coming back. And, of course, you have some injuries, and, people say, well, Steve, those are excuses. No, they're not excuses. They're details of our own reality. But at the end of the day, no matter what you label those items of information, our record doesn't change. The expectation doesn't change. We've got to find a way to go win some ball games and get into a regional somewhere, and I think there'll be a lot of weight lifted off this team's shoulders. We got to find a way to go make it happen. and it's got to start tonight. That's as simple as I can say it. This is a must-win ball game for Mississippi State if we have hopes of making a regional, a realistic hope of making a regional somewhere. Because right now we're not in the field, and we don't deserve to be. As much as we want to be there, we don't deserve to be there. We have got to find a way to go make it happen. State's got to go out there, and I think what you've got to avoid chasing the game. You've got to avoid getting down 3-4 runs early in a ball game and then having to kind of chip away, because next thing you know, you start running out of outs. And then, just like yesterday, Brandon Smith's pitch count got up, and you start thinking he's not going to survive the fifth. Ultimately, he gives a 6, and the bullpen was good for us last night for the most part. You got to score runs. We didn't lose last night because of pitching. We lost last night because of offense and a lack thereof. You got to go out there and put some runs up there today, and maybe you need 7, 8, 9 runs. I don't know. But however many it takes, that's how many we got to go score. That's it for today. I'll see you guys back on Monday. Hopefully we're talking about a great series win that just happens to be against Ole Miss. But the reality of it is we're running late in the SEC schedule, and we're running out of opportunities to prove our tournament worthiness. So hopefully that's what we're talking about. If you're looking for Stark Villains gear, you can find it at starkvillains.com. I encourage you to do so. I have a lot of people that reach out and say, hey, Steve, what's the link again? It's starkvillains.com. Again, it's starkvillains.com. And find all those great books at dogpilethebook.com. See you guys at Hobie's tonight. The fun starts at 6 p.m. The Mississippi State Ole Miss watch party at Hobie's on Main. Until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we'll make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.
Underdog Fantasy is the fastest-growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.